Morning, everybody, and welcome to the May 12th, 2025 meeting of the New York City Campaign Finance Board. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the April 15th meeting. I move their approval. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, the motion carries. Next item on our agenda is my report. So the 2025 June primaries are now just 43 days away. In today's meeting, the board will be voting on its sixth round of public funds payments for the 2025 elections, public funds payments for a 2025 special election, enforcement actions against 5 committees from the 2021 election cycle, expenditure limit relief in a 2025 race for New York City Council, and a Rule 709 petition from the 2025 campaign. So that's our agenda for today, and that's all I have. So I'll ask our executive director for his report.
Thank you, Chair Schaefer. Good morning, everyone. As Chair Schaefer mentioned moments ago, the June primaries are right around the corner. Saying this is the CFB's busy season would be a dramatic understatement. Auditors are working nights and weekends to process incoming disclosure reports, verify public funds eligibility, and finish audits from past elections. Candidate guidance and policy staff are supporting candidate compliance with the public funding program requirements and fulfilling a record number of Freedom of Information Law requests from the press and from the public. Our partnerships and outreach team is working nights and weekends at events all over the city with dozens of community-based organizations. Our product management team is putting the finishing touches on the voter guides that will be mailed to households across the 5 boroughs. And our educational mailer about our 8-to-1 matching funds program began hitting mailboxes last week. Our marketing and digital communications team is hard at work disseminating voter education materials via social media, radio ads, subway and bus shelter ads, and more. And the CFB-sponsored televised debates between candidates for citywide office will be held throughout the first 2 weeks of June. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Our entire team, including those working behind the scenes to keep our agency running smoothly, who I haven't explicitly mentioned this morning, are working flat out right now. So I want to thank everyone on the team, everyone on our staff for your hard work and your dedication. We're doing everything we can to make sure New Yorkers have the information they need to make matchable contributions, cast their ballots, and make their voices heard in this year's elections. Finally, on Thursday of this week, I'll be testifying alongside our first Deputy Executive Director, Amanda Melillo, in an executive budget hearing held jointly by the City Council's Committee on Finance and the Committee on Governmental Operations, State and Federal Legislation. We look forward to discussing our budget for the upcoming fiscal year with the committee members, and we thank the people of New York City for your long-running support of this agency's important work. Thank you again, Chair Schaefer. Back to you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is to announce campaigns in compliance. And I will do so. This list of campaigns that have completed their audits without penalties is organized by election cycle and office sought. And from there, I will read the names of the candidates in alphabetical order. So from the 2020 special election for Queensborough President, Anthony Miranda and Jim Quinn. From the 2021 special election for City Council District 24, James Gennaro. From the 2021 special election for City Council District 15, Oswald Felice. From the 2021 special election for City Council District 11, Jessica Haller. And from the 2021 special election for City Council District 15, Altagracia Soldevilla. From the 2021 election cycle, City Council District 26, Julia Foreman. 2021 election cycle, City Council District 15, Lakshmi Gopal. From the 2021 election for City Council District 7, Keith Harris. From the 2021 election for Staten Island Borough President Lorraine Honor. From the 2021 City Council District 23, Sanjeev Jindal. 2021 City Council District 23, Jaslyn Kaur. 2021 election cycle, City Council District 6, Sarah Lind. 2021 City Council District 25, Alfonso Quiroz. 2021 City Council District 32, Felicia Singh. 2021 City Council District 33, April Sambun. 2021 City Council District 25, Carolyn Tran. 2021 Manhattan Borough President, Kimberly Watkins. 2021 City Council District 26, Julie Wan. 2021 City Council District 50, George Wanika. In the 2023 election cycle, City Council District 22, Tiffany Caban. The rest are also from 2023. City Council District 30, Robert Holden. City Council District 48, Igor Kazatsker. City Council District 36, Chi Osei. City Council District 33, Lincoln Ressler. City Council District 14, Pierina Sanchez. Next on our agenda is the vote to approve 2025 public funds payment determinations. So I will now introduce a motion to approve public funds payments for the regular 2025 city elections to the following candidates and in the following amounts. For mayor, Andrew Cuomo, $1,509,185. Brad Lander, $1,095. Zelnor Myrie, $9,865. Whitney Tilson, $1,998,644. For public advocate, Jennifer Rajkumar, $4,683. For Brooklyn Borough President, Antonio Reynoso, $19,000. For Manhattan Borough President, Brad Hoylman Siegel, $3,154. For Bronx Borough President, Vanessa Gibson, $11,552. For City Council District 1, Eric Yu, $4,636. For City Council District 2, Anthony Weiner, $418. For City Council District 3, Eric Botcher, $47,013. For City Council District 7, Edafe Agporo, $242. For City Council District 8, Nicholas Reyes, $40,820. For City Council District 10, Carmen de la Rosa, $48,134. For City Council District 11, Eric Dinowitz, $161,181. For City Council District 13, Joel R. Rivera, $57,532. For City Council District 14, Fernando Cabrera, $76. For City Council District 17, Elvis Santana, $5,890. For City Council District 19, Benjamin Chu, $80,902. For City Council District 21, Erica Montoya, $760. For City Council District 30, Paul Pogoselski, $1,710, and Phil Wong, $138,130. For City Council District 33, Lincoln Ressler, $192,059. For City Council District 35, Dion Ashman, $4,940. For City Council District 36, Chi Osei, $48,125. For City Council District 38, Ling Yi, $4,712. For City Council District 47, Fedor Usmanov, $7,866. For City Council District 49, Camilla Hanks, $475. This motion also includes the board's determination to deny public funds payments to other participant candidates who are ineligible at this time. Immediately following this meeting, the board will make public a list of those candidates and the reasons for their ineligibility, as well as any candidates who have declined public funds payments at this time. Candidates who have been denied payment today have a right to appeal that decision. In addition, there will be more opportunities for campaigns to establish eligibility for matching funds in the coming weeks and months. I will be recusing myself from the vote regarding Andrew Cuomo, but I will be participating in the vote regarding all other candidates. As I am recusing myself, I will ask Board Member Richard Davis to read a statement regarding today's payment to the Cuomo campaign.
Based on the preliminary results of the board investigation, the board has reason to believe Fix the City's $622,056 expenditure for an ad distributed on May 4, 2025 was not independent of the Cuomo campaign. CFB rules state that the board may determine an expenditure was not independent if the quote entity making the expenditure has utilized strategic information or data that has been made publicly available by the candidate in a manner which the candidate knew or should have known would facilitate such utilization. End quote. A practice known as red boxing. Expenditures coordinated with a campaign are considered in-kind contributions that undercut New York City's strict spending and contribution limits, which are in place to ensure voters, not big money, decide elections. When there is reason to believe a candidate has received an impermissible contribution, the board may withhold the amount of that contribution from a public funds payment. As such, the board has withheld public funds in the amount of the expenditure, $622,056. The board's investigation into this matter is ongoing, and we will continue to evaluate the issue of improper coordination. This amount also counts towards the campaign spending limit for the June primary. That's it.
Okay, so that is the motion, or now making the motion for those public funds payments. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions? The motion carries. Next item on our agenda is a vote for the special election in 2025 for public funds payments. I have approved as chair the payment for those special elections, and I'd like to ask another member of the board to make the motion to ratify that determination with respect to the special election payment.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That motion carries. I'll ask our general counsel, Joseph Gallagher, to tee up the issue on expenditure limit relief relating to Council District 5.
Good morning, Chair Schaefer, Executive Director Ryan, and members of the board. I'm Joseph Gallagher, General Counsel of the CFB. Pursuant to the Campaign Finance Act, if a non-participating candidate has either spent or received an amount that exceeds half the applicable expenditure limit, the expenditure limit for all participating candidates in that race shall be increased to 150% of the limit. CFB staff has determined that a non-participant in the primary election for City Council District 5 has raised 234% of the expenditure limit for the 2025 primary elections. Therefore, CFB staff recommends that the board increase the applicable expenditure limit to 150% for all participants in the primary elections for City Council District 5 from $228,000 to $342,000.
I will make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That motion carries. Thank you, Joe. We have appearances today in connection with either penalties or repayments or further payments. We have scheduled 3 appearances, and I'll just call them in order. The first is Maria Danzillo from the 2021 election cycle. Is Ms. Danzillo here? Okay, please take a seat at the table over here to my right. And CFP staff is seated across the way. Good morning. Welcome. So let me just tell you how we operate. The CFP staff will give a brief introduction, not an argument, just to tee up the issue before us. So everybody's clear on why we're here. Then it'll be your opportunity to say whatever you have to say. If there's any reason to respond by the CFP staff, they will do so. The board may or may not have questions, and we'll go back and forth until everybody has said what needs to be said, and then later we'll go into deliberations.
Very good, thank you.
So please.
Good morning, Chair Schaefer, Executive Director Ryan, members of the board, Ms. Danzillo, and Ms. Harris. I'm Hilary Martin, an attorney for the CFB, and with me is Yuan Tsai, a CFB auditor. Before the board is a matter of the Danzillo campaign during the 2021 election for City Council. Maria Danzillo was a participant in the program and received public funds. CFB staff recommends that the board find that the campaign committed the following violation, exceeding the expenditure limit. Campaign contests this recommended violation.
Okay.
Very,
Have the floor.
very good. Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Schaffer and members of the board. My name is Maria Danzillo. This is my treasurer from my New York State Senate campaign, Andrea Harris, who helped with the audit phase of the City Council campaign. I'm here this morning because I wanted to state for the record, there was absolutely no intent whatsoever to go over the spending limit. We acknowledge that we went over the spending limit, but I thought it would be helpful to kind of come here in person and speak to you about why that happened, and to give our experiences about working with the Campaign Finance Board. I do want to say that I did check the box for the informal hearing, so I'm a little confused by the process.
This is informal.
Good to know for next time. Hopefully there won't be one.
It doesn't look like you're intimidated by the formality.
Well, looks may be deceiving. That's all I have to say. So I appreciate this opportunity today, and I certainly don't want to waste any of the taxpayers' money on unnecessary objections or anything like that. We have acknowledged that we went over and we apologize for it. It was definitely not intentional. We took our responsibility to get Campaign Finance Board money very, very seriously. We took our obligation to pay our vendors very seriously. We took our audit responsibilities very, very seriously. We ran what we believe was a very ethical, transparent campaign. Every single penny that we spent was in order to help the public learn more about our race, our issues, and what it was that was at stake for New York. I do want to say that I am a first-time candidate. I never ran for office before. I had no political experience whatsoever, and came into the race when people in my community felt that we needed to have somebody who lived in the community for many decades represent us. We were able to raise the full amount of money needed to get matching funds within 39 days from all small donors, all within the district, all people who wanted to see us have a campaign, someone to represent our community. It was also an open seat when I went into the race. It turned out I ran against Borough President Gail Brewer, who was trying to return to her seat as a city council member. We had an extremely hardworking campaign. Virtually everybody on our campaign worked as volunteers. We did engage consultants, and I think that's where the overage occurred. We were very inexperienced about how that all worked. I had a campaign manager. Unfortunately, the campaign manager, about 2/3 through the campaign, had some personal issues and had to resign. So we were left just with one unpaid volunteer treasurer and myself and our consultants. I do want to say that my campaign manager was a very young person in his early 20s who hadn't even graduated from college. And so he was also somewhat less experienced in these matters. We worked with North Shore Consulting, and as the report shows, that was where the overage occurred. I also just want to mention during the campaign, I'm an attorney. I worked without any salary, unlike other members, other people who are running for political office are on, if they're incumbents, they are receiving salaries. I was working without any salary whatsoever. I participated in a total of 13 candidate debates and forums, and that was all without the benefit of a campaign manager. I also want to say we spent every penny that we got from the Campaign Finance Board, taxpayer money, extremely carefully to make sure that it was absolutely something that was necessary for the campaign. We also worked many 14-hour days. We thought we were on track. We were not aware of the fact that North Shore had engaged people in the last few weeks of the campaign to do phone banking. And those were paid people. Most of the people working on our campaign were volunteers. I spoke with North Shore principal on Friday about this matter and mentioned we were at this hearing. They also apologized for the fact that there was this miscommunication. They had a change in management in their office during that time, and they are also quite apologetic and contrite about this overage. When we got the bill, which we did not receive from North Shore until after the election was over, and by the way, I came in second place out of 6 candidates, which was very, very helpful to the people in my community who really wanted to know that they were being heard. That was something that was really important to everybody who stepped up to help with this campaign. We did not get North Shore's bill, as the record will show, until after the campaign had closed, and we did not pay it until the following February because we were looking into it and wanted to make sure it was something we needed to pay. And we felt that because they had incurred those expenses, it was something we had to pay. And that is the reason for the overage. So to close up, in these circumstances, we think the fine of this amount and the full amount is excessive. And I want to just make an equation to say a traffic violation where the speedometer is broken and you go a few points above the speed limit because you thought that you were within the speed limit, but you weren't. And you get pulled over and it's a first time offense. This hasn't happened before. And in those cases, a warning might be an appropriate remedy. As a first-time candidate who was completely, raised every penny through self-funding, this is not the kind of message I hope the board would give other first-time candidates that, if you have good intent, there's no intent, and it's a warning, I think would be a more appropriate fine here. There was a breakdown in communication during that period of time, which I've explained. Again, I want to apologize very sincerely. Apologies. Both Andrea and I are very upset about this. We worked very hard during the audit to try to do everything we can to comply. I do want to say we complied with every single deadline. We supplied every single piece of paper that was requested. We were on time on everything. We did everything exactly as we hoped to fulfill all of our obligations. We do also have to pay this fine personally, so I do want to recommend that. Again, to close up, there was absolutely unequivocally no intent. We acted with transparency and integrity, and there was no harm to any other candidate here. That's about it. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Just so it's clear, that this is the only violation, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, their order essentially is clean.
Yes, they're in compliance in every other way.
Did you have anything further that you wanted to say? No. Okay. Thank you for your presentation. We do sit as a court of equity and we do take into account the particular circumstances of each campaign. Of course, many, indeed most of the violations that we deal with are unintentional. It's only occasionally that there are really intentional ones. And that is because the law is complex, because it's complex. It tries to do a lot of things. Expenditure limits are among our most important regulations. We take them seriously, but we also listen carefully to the circumstances of each case, and we will take that into account as we deliberate.
Very good. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for your hard work.
The next appearance is the campaign of candidate Kenya Handy Hilliard. Good morning, and thank you for being with us.
Good morning.
Ask Mr. Gallagher to remind us why we're here, and then you'll have an opportunity to make a statement.
Thank you. Good morning again, Chair Schaefer, Executive Director Ryan, and members of the board, and Ms. Hamilton. Again, I'm Joseph Gallagher, General Counsel of the Campaign Finance Board. Before the board is the matter of the Kenya Handy Hilliard campaign 2021 election for City Council District 40. Handy Hilliard was a participant in the program and received public funds. Candidate appeared before the board on this matter in November of 2024, at which time the board adjourned the matter to permit Ms. Hamilton, the campaign's former treasurer, an opportunity to respond to issues raised by the candidate in that November 2024 appearance. CFB staff recommends that the board find the candidate and committee committed the violation of exceeding the expenditure limit. The candidate and committee contest this recommended violation. CFB staff recommends that the board adjourn this matter after hearing from the former treasurer to permit the candidate and former treasurer to submit a written response after today's appearance before the board makes its final determination at the June 20th board.
Okay, good. So we will hear from you today. We will hear in writing further from the candidate, and we will eventually deliberate and decide this at our next meeting. But please go ahead.
Hello, Nikisha Hamilton. I'm a bit nervous because I didn't imagine myself here, but hi. So I was not told about the last CFB meeting, board meeting, and that was unfortunate, but thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I started off in Kenya's campaign as a volunteer. I knew Kenya when as an intern when she was working on Congress. She told me that she was running. I was really excited because I was born and raised in the community as well, just like her. And I was really excited to have a candidate that I think is so brilliant and intelligent to be running and supporting our community. And so I started off the campaign and I was like, whatever you need, let me know what you need. And she told me she needed a treasurer. And I think at the time I was 24, I just came out of college 2 years ago, but I was fueled by passion, especially given the time, everything that was going on in the community. And I was like, I could be a treasurer. And at the time she was working with her advisor at the time, her consultant, Celeste Morris. So I thought that I would have a support system, even though I did not have any clue, honestly, about the role of the treasurer or the weight and the gravity of being a treasurer of a campaign. I mistakenly confused campaign life, political life with government life, and that's different. And so I started off, she had a little bit of friction with consultant Celeste Morris, who was really there telling us everything that she thought we need to do, how we navigate, because both Kenya and I were very new to campaign life. We didn't know how to campaign, what this was. So I think we were learning together. And I was very nervous. I took a CFB training twice because I was just I just was overwhelmed now that I look back at my younger self. And I try to build a relationship with my liaison. I had two liaisons, Mr. Kennedy, and then also after Mr. Honda. So I try to be in communication with the CFB board because I felt like a fish out of water, but I was driven by passion. And so I worked for until November. She was supposed to get a campaign manager, and that should have been my sign that maybe this was not the most stable situation to enter because no one wanted to be the campaign manager. And I was confused why, because I thought she was an excellent candidate. And so I'm like, you know what? I got your back. I'm here. I'll do whatever. But I didn't want to be the campaign manager. I was like, you find a campaign manager, maybe I can operate as a deputy campaign manager, because at the time I was doing everything. I did her policy. I mapped out where she should go door knocking. I ran her social media. And then at times I would even babysit so that she can have time as a candidate and figure out how she wants to navigate this role. And then finally, like mid-November, she's like, listen, I don't have a campaign manager. You're going to have to be it. So from August to December, January, it was her and I. And I was doing a lot of different tasks on the campaign. And then every time when I used to come to her for support and ask for help, she would say, well, you're the campaign manager. You're going to have to figure it out. And even in between, her friend offered support because I was like, I need extra eyes on campaign finance board happenings because I'm new to this. And her friend helped me for like a month or two, but just kind of ghosted me. And then I created a position. I was like, let me find some interns. Let me find some volunteers because we didn't have money on the bank yet. And I wasn't being paid either. So like, I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to get that support because the treasurer, people told us that the treasurer position is a position that's unpaid. And I was like, okay. And I was just alone. And so every time when she asked me, what do I need? I'm like, I need a treasurer. I need somebody, a second person to help me with this. I'm not feeling confident. And so I think with that, and then also not, even though I was a campaign manager, I wasn't necessarily like in control. Like I will say that I have raw skills, but I needed the mentorship and guidance. And she would say, we need to hire this person. We need to pay this social media person $10,000 in January, even though it didn't feel right. It didn't sound right to me. But every time when I like push back, I don't know if we should do that. Well, I kind of get left in this kind of indecisive space where like, you're the campaign manager. I don't know if you think that's best. I don't know. And then you kind of feel this cloud of tension. It's hard to explain and in a way that makes it feel factual. It's a feeling. So I felt alone, and a lot of people come in and advise. She didn't have a support system either as well. So like a lot of people come in and advise, and now looking back at it, a lot of these people who advise like Sid Parker or Charles, who may he rest in peace, who helped with the field director, who was helping with field direction. Most of their experiences were not city council campaign finance experience or related to that. It's more so like bigger races like state or federal. So in hindsight, maybe getting guidance from them wasn't the best, but they were also trying to help as well. So I didn't really have the full handle on the budget in the sense that one person would send this person advise her to pay ads to radio, $1,000 to a radio, even though I'm like, do we even know which radio station this is? Who is this person? But like, that's the thing to do in campaign, or like postering, which was where the expense ballooned. There was a breakdown in March because our field director was doing something like I didn't understand what he was trying to like build another business off our backs in the campaign. It looked shady to me. So I was like, you gotta go. And I stepped in as the field director, and I hired Sid Parker, who helped with the mapping and data and the GIS mapping and data. And then also Charles became a volunteer because he has experience of doing petitioning. And so we got posters, we did our door knocking. I got the most signatures. That's how dedicated I was. I got the most signatures for the petition. So imagine being a campaign manager, going door knocking, when she's debating, being a babysitter, being a field director, being a treasurer. I needed help. And and I helped fundraising as well. And when she finally fundraised, she stopped fundraising. And then even Charles was like, no, she has to be fundraising. You have to continue fundraising because you never know what will happen. And so again, I was not aware of how these things work. And so I told Charles to stop buying posters, but he would order posters. And then I will show up at the campaign office and they were sitting right there. And I'm like, how did you get the posters? He's like, well, I talked to the candidate and the candidate understands where I'm coming from. So then I'm like, so you guys are approving posters behind my back after I said that we have to stop? And even after we got our fundraise, our matching or what have you, folks thought I was being cheap. Because I'm like, no, I don't think we should do that. No, I should do that. So imagine being alone, not feeling supported, then people are telling you that you're cheap, that you don't know what you're doing, and you're the youngest person on the campaign. And so I'm here being advised to pay, to spend, to do X, Y, and Z, even if it feels against my better, it felt like it was going against my better judgment, because I didn't have the confidence, I didn't have the mentorship, I didn't have the infrastructure. And so as we were going in, I finally was like, I got, I don't remember her last name, but Miss Sonia, she came in. I was like, listen, I need help with the budget. I need help with campaign finance. I need help to make sure that we are in compliance. And she sat with me. We went over the budget, but there was like, I didn't realize like there was a discrepancy with expenditures versus what's incoming or what's sitting in the bank. Like, you know, you see like, oh, I got 190K in the bank, but you are not aware that there is the spending limit, right? And so I think that was where my oversight or lack of sight, like understanding of finance is proper. And finally, we got a notification from the campaign finance board saying that we're approaching the limit. And I was beside myself. And something as big as that, you notify the candidate immediately, which I did. And I met with the candidate and Sonia. I met with the candidate individually, and then I called a senior meeting with Mr. Charles, Kenya, and I told them that we were approaching the limit. We had mailers, we had robocalls, we had people postering, like still, because people will just show up. And if people show up and say, I'm working, what am I supposed to, like, I need to pay them. Like, it's important to pay them if they say they work. So I'm here paying people for postering and posters and mailers and radio ads. And it started to get to our control. And people are like, you know, we have a campaign to win. You know, you got to give it your all. You have to do everything. And I'm like, I don't feel like we got to do everything, but I just felt stuck. And so I tried to negotiate with the mailers to cut back on the mailers, but we were already in contract. And what he said to me was that, well, I already designed, one has been sent out. I designed one that's already going to be sent out soon. And I have third. I can cut back two to three mailers. So it's less of a cost to you guys. We had robocalls going, and I tried to cut robo, but Mr. Sid was not really supportive of that, because he said that according to the data, Kenya was not hitting the doors that she should be hitting, and that she was not accomplishing the number that she should be hitting. So he was not really open. I can honestly say I don't remember like if we cut it or if we cut 1 round or 2 round, but I remember I approached him about that. And I cut the get out the vote budget. We barely had any get out the vote going on. And I talked to other staffers and I said, look, we're approaching the limit and this is a serious problem. And everyone adjust their budget. Everyone adjust their costs to the best of their ability. Some people waived being paid and what have you. So I did what I could to cut expenditures, to manage people's expectations. Again, I'm a skillful person. I would like to believe I'm a brilliant person. I'm not neglectful. I can be overwhelmed. I can have a lot of work. And, you know, when Kenya told me that she wanted the freedom to be a candidate, and I remember seeing her response, and she was like, you know, I said I got her, which I did, because as a person who sat there and worked as everything in that campaign, I was the campaign. And it hurt because I was compliant afterwards. when her attorney said, I got an attorney. I cannot afford attorney. I cannot even afford this fine. Like I'm facing my own personal financial straits. So I could not afford attorney. I'm just an intelligent person where I'm going to push back and ask questions. And if one thing I believe why I'm like probably why I wasn't asked to be here the first time around is because even if the truth hurts me, I'm going to tell the truth. And so for me, I can say that I did not have an attorney. I was very compliant. She's had 3 attorneys. I've worked with all 3 of them. The reason why even Mr. Sid Parker was sitting here is because I had a meeting with her and her attorney, and I said, you know what? I think you guys should talk to Mr. Sid as well to help. And they showed up and I wasn't here. So for me, the reason why we were pushed to that brink was because she was not doing her due diligence as a leader and as a candidate. She was not knocking as many doors. I would work from 8 to 12 a.m. Kenya would come in at 8:30 a.m., worked until 3 p.m., went to pick up her children. And I would not hear from Kenya until 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and the day is done. And I would be her body person. I would do so many things. And so I came here with a resolve to like be as truthful, honest, and factual as possible. But there is some emotions here because it's like you're 24, you're 25, you're young and you believe in the world. And I'm a low income Black woman just trying to make it in this and trying to make my community a better place. And I believe that was the person that I could do it with. And so I hate to see both of us in this position because that was never our intention. Our intention was never to go over the spending limit, not at all. And she's a brilliant woman, like I said, with 2 beautiful kids. But she was absent, and I was very there and very overwhelmed. And I don't think I ever got that acknowledgement, and that's where my emotions really stems from. So I stepped back. I was burnt out. I was overwhelmed. I know that the expenditure to my company was one of the over the limit things. But that was myself. That was me choosing myself. I know it's terrible. I know we went over the limit, but I worked from August to December 31st without any money. And there were times and every time in the campaign, I paid myself last because I was very committed. And I just wish that I had this infrastructure, the support, and the wisdom and the age so that I wasn't pushed around as much because I was young.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gallagher, do you have anything to respond?
No, I don't.
I have a question. You made a reference to your company. Well, what were you referring to?
Afeni Creative Studios. So I was working, how inexperienced, I was working at the Brooklyn Museum as the head of government and community relations. And I decided to step down, and I wanted to create a company to focus on ways to expand the Black creative economy and to uplift our communities. And so Kenya was actually one of the people to encourage. Like, I was between a corporate job and starting my business. And so she was just like, oh, why don't I be like your first client and you get your business started. So if you look in the expenditures, it says you're paid to Afeni Creative Studios, not Nikisha Hamilton.
And what did that company do for the campaign?
Oh, no, the company, it was a single LLC. So I was the.
So, and what was the service?
Oh, I did
paid?
Campaign and treasurer.
And what was the amount that the company got paid?
$5,000.
I just want to make sure I understand, because as I recall, and the issue came down to, in terms of exceeding the expenditure limit to these mailers at the end, after the notice was given that you were approaching the expenditure limit and might go over. What were the discussions about whether the mailer should go out even if it risks going over the expenditure limit? Do you recall what those discussions were and who they were with?
Yeah, it was a little fuzzy, so I'm not going to be like have 100% because like about 4 years ago. But in the room was me, Charles, Mr. Sid, and Kenya. It was several discussions. So I had a discussion with Sonia, who advised to cut it, and we had a discussion with Kenya, and then we decided to like meet with the senior staff. And in the discussion, I was just like, we have to cut the nailers. And Sid was like, I would not advise to do that. I don't think we should do that because she did not hit all the target doors. We have a lot of doors to reach. We have a lot of people to reach. And so I was just like, so what else can we cut? Can we cut the robocalls? Can we cut what can we cut? Because we are approaching the expenditure. So that was the gist of the conversation. And then we were going back and forth about it. And Kenny was like, you know what? You guys will have to figure it out. Just make the best decision or what have you, which left me peeved because I felt like I was alone. Like, I'm like, this is your campaign as well. And so Sid was like, I think we should go with putting out the mailers and deal with CFB when it comes.
Okay, well, thank you for.
Candidate.
What was Sid's role again?
He was the data and mapping advisor.
Did Kenya specifically say we can't go over the limit?
She did say that. She said we can't go over the limit, and I said we can't go over the limit. Yeah, because she didn't want to be here, of course.
Anything else? Okay, well, thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more appearance today, Allison Ryan. Good morning and welcome. Have to tee up the issue for us.
For Executive Director Ryan, members of the board, and accompanied by her husband, Chris Ryan. I'm Jennifer Ferentz, an attorney for the CFB, and with me is Jamari Nunez, a CFB auditor. So before the board is the matter of the Ryan campaign in the 2021 general election for City Council District 2. Ryan was a participant in the program and did not receive pre-election public funds, but in the CFB staff's opinion has qualified for a post-election public funds payment. Therefore, CFB staff recommends that the board find that the public funds calculation determined by the CFB staff is correct, and that the board issue a payment to the committee of $14,742. The campaign does not contest this recommendation, but wishes to appear.
Thank you. And what do you have to say to us this morning?
So I just want to say thank you to the CFB. The 2021 race was my first time to run, and it was, and I was motivated to run because I wanted to save East River Park. And I don't know if you drive down the FDR, but you will see that it's halfway demolished. And so as a first-time candidate, my husband helped me and we did it all together, and we worked really hard to qualify for matching funds. And so we're grateful that the CFB is acknowledging all the hard work we put in to be able to honor the post-election matching funds request.
Great. Would your husband like to say anything?
I can say Ally works very hard and stays within the lines. And the request I have is a no. So if I buy a notebook, just no, that doesn't qualify, or this issues. Our computers have broken screens. We do get a computer? No. So he's very honest. Good addition to the political field. it's been a long road because we aren't wealthy, way this money's been tied up. That'd be an equivalent of our savings. if We had a savings. But she's running again now. So next month, it has not discouraged her. Thank you for the opportunity for the funds and for approving in favor, and hope it wraps up soon and we see her in City Hall next year.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for your appearance and for your remarks. So we will go into deliberations now and come back in a little while. What is this thing, by the way? Just another microphone? Okay.
It goes straight to my phone. It's better audio and I tweet it out immediately.
Okay, very good.
Crazy murders. About what's happening at the CFP. It's very important.
All right, well, the board has deliberated on the matters, including both the appearances that we had today and several other matters in which the candidates chose not to appear. And I will make a omnibus motion here that will cover everybody. So this is a motion with respect to some people to find the following violations and impose the following penalties. And as to others, there's actually a payment due. So I will specify each result and then we'll take a vote on it. So with respect to candidate Maria Danzillo, 2021 candidate for city council, the board finds the violation of exceeding the expenditure limit. And the motion is the proposed penalty is $2,500. With respect to candidate Kenya Handy Hilliard, 2021 candidate for city council, the board proposes to adjourn that until our next meeting. Sorry, to adjourn it until our June 20th meeting, not our next meeting. Okay, thank you. Next, Alika Ampri Samuel, 2021 candidate for city council. The board proposes to find the following violations and impose the following penalties. One, failing to provide a bank statement, $100. Two, failing to respond to the draft audit report, $1,746, for total recommended penalties of $1,846. Next, David Carr, 2021 candidate for city council. The board proposes to make an additional public funds payment of $8,728. And finally, Allison Ryan, 2021 candidate for city council. Board proposes to make an additional payment of $14,742. That is the motion. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Last item on our agenda concerns a Rule 709 petition by the campaign of Mayor Eric Adams. I previously denied that petition pursuant to my delegated authority, and I'll ask another member of the board to make a motion to ratify that decision, noting that our board member, Rich Davis, is recused from this matter.
I move ratification of the chair's decision.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Well, or recusal? Motion carries. That's it for today. I will make the usual motion to go into executive session. We have few items to discuss, but nothing to act on, and we'll adjourn directly from the executive session. Is there a second to that motion? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We're finished with our business for today.